So maybe you weren't able to get to Vogue Knitting Live in New York City this year. No worries, I've got your recap of all the yarny fun right here. Hi, I'm Melanie, and you're watching Yarn Journeys. I am a knitter, a spinner, and a sometimes sewist, and I live in Arlington, Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. If you are a returning viewer to my channel, welcome back. And if you're new here, well, I am so glad you found me. So here's what's up for today's episode. It's all Vogue Knitting Live. The classes, the marketplace, the special events, and the swag. Well, and speaking of swag, unfortunately, this episode is coming out a little bit later than I wanted to because one of the things I came home with from New York was a good old case of the flu. That wasn't something I was hoping to pick up. Manhattan, I took the train, subways, big groups of people. It's winter, sometimes we come down with the flu. But I am on the mend, and I am so excited to share with you all about my experience at Vogue Knitting Live. If you're not familiar with Vogue Knitting Live, it is a 4-day knitters conference that is held every year at the Marriott Marquis Hotel in Manhattan, Times Square. A big feature of the conference are the copious classes and lectures with world-famous knitting teachers and knitwear designers. The other big feature of the Vogue Knitting Live conference is the marketplace, which is full of yarn vendors, notions, all sorts of things to tickle your fancy if you are a knitter, a crocheter, or in any way involved with yarn crafts. If you choose to spend a bit more on your experience, you can get a VIP package, which includes tickets to a cocktail party on the Friday night and the Saturday evening gala dinner that features a keynote speaker. This was my second year visiting the conference, and I chose to upgrade to the Big Apple Weekender VIP package to see what all the fuss was about, as well as share everything with you. So let's get into it. First up, the classes are awesome. My first class was with Faina Goberstein. Her class was on woven slip stitch knitting, which was a technique I actually had never heard of before. And essentially, it is a form of slip stitch knitting where the floats are part of the design element on the right side. So if you're familiar with mosaic knitting, for example, or other slip stitch knitting, there can be floats on the wrong side as you're trying to create a pattern that faces outward. This technique of woven slip stitch knitting flips the side so that the side that faces outward features the floats between the slip stitches, which then can be a design element. This was really cool. We did multiple swatches playing with this technique, and I was very much inspired by the samples that Faina brought with her and that I have been using to illustrate what woven slip stitch knitting can look like. My next class was with Amy Detchen. She is, of course, the long time knitting teacher that has worked with Meg Swanson and I think even Elizabeth Zimmerman in the past. This woman is full of knowledge. The class was all about I-cord, but in truth, throughout the class, it was really more about, well, ask Amy anything. And she just loved sitting and taking her questions about how to do our cast-ons better, how to take care of issues with rowing out, how not to twist your stitches when you're joining in the round. I took another class with Vera Vilamaiki. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. You might know her as the Finnish knitwear designer whom Johi Locatelli frequently collaborates with. And she's just lovely. She was talking about how she took an inspiration through the development of an idea into a knitting pattern, which was something I have yet to explore on my own. And it was kind of neat to get the perspective of a very experienced knitwear designer. And then the fourth class I took was steeking with Mary Jane Mucklestone. I have steeked in the past, but it was great to get steeking techniques and tips from a real pro at it. I learned a lot as we practiced with our swatches that we knit up as homework. It was so much fun, and Mary Jane is hilarious and generous with her advice and time. I really enjoyed that class. It was great. I also had a lecture with Kate Atherley on blocking. She is also a not miss teacher, full of very practical advice, as well as a great speaker. I was supposed to take another lecture on Thursday night, but as it so happened, my brother, who is an actor in Manhattan, had tickets to an interview with Emma Stone, a live interview. And well, I got to see Emma Stone live. So that was my Thursday night activity, and it was so much fun. So thanks to my brother for taking me. I'm sure I missed a great lecture, but you know, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Of course, you're probably very likely interested in what was available at the marketplace. So let's go there now and see what there is to be seen. So there was some kind of buzz around that this year's Vogue Knitting Live was a little bit more subdued than last year's, that the vendors were not as copious, that the marketplace wasn't as crowded. I couldn't really tell for myself. If you were at Vogue Knitting Live, I mean, what was your viewpoint? Did you feel like it was that there was less going on, that there were fewer vendors? So last year's Vogue Knitting Live was the first really big one after the COVID cancellations. So that would have been January of 2023. And I believe it was canceled in 2022 and 2021. So I could understand how last year's probably had more presence, more people who were interested in going because they hadn't been able to go for a while. But still, to me, it felt pretty crowded and that there was lots going on. If you were at Vogue Knitting Live this year and had been in previous years, what did you think? You felt like there were fewer vendors, fewer people? Curious to get your sense if there were any differences. For me, a huge highlight of my Vogue Knitting Live experience was the Saturday night gala dinner. Amy Gilles of La Bien-Aimée was the keynote speaker. And I had no idea what an inspiring story she had to tell about how she was, raised in the Midwest and is now a Parisian yarn manufacturer and entrepreneur. She is a really, really cool woman, and being able to hear her talk definitely made the VIP experience worth it. She also had a little fashion show of some knitwear made with her yarns, and that was great to see.
Japanese designer Junko Okamoto. This is featuring a French yarn Derrière Naturel Gilliatt, which I have the pleasure of dyeing in Yellow Brick Road and Nadia. By Marion M. This features Sport Nouveau and mohair silk in floor morganite.
That is beautiful.
The designer Erdendor. This is my new non-superwash sport weight base that I released last year. She is wearing blue bandana in the color. This is featuring the original yarn and the original colorway that Hoagie used for this design in Merino Sport in the color Patagonia. The model is wearing colors in Yellow Brick Road, Floor Morganite, and Sansa, and Dawn. I absolutely love this design. This features mohair silk held up. This model is wearing a little yellow sweater, but it's not yellow, in Floor Morganite by Andrea Mowry. The shawl features Alix and Kumo, held both in Fiori, and a little mini where we did some striping in Floor Morganite. Tina, she's wearing stripes by Andrea Mowry. This features a mix of Helix and Kumo in Dawn, Isle of Arran, Leaves, Medved, Stone, Vespa, and Yellow Brick Road. This sweater features Corey Worsted in Lichen, and just like the name, it celebrates friendship in knitting. She is wearing a machine knit beanie with the La Bien-Aimée patch, featuring my recycled yarn Corey confetti. Featuring Helix and Kumo. Go ahead and walk together. So you can see they're both knit in the same size, which is a size 5, but they look different. The yellow one has been wet blocked, and the lighter one has been steam blocked. This features my recycled yarn Corey confetti in Nancy's speckled sweater. This is featuring Nancy Marchant's vintage stash. She donated to me 80 kilos of yarn that I processed for her and made into this beautiful yarn. Dang, Britt, you wear it better than I do. This features Corey Worsted in French Gray and Yellow Brick Road. She's wearing Lil Bandana in Volute in the color Sunrise.
But truly, one of the best things about Vogue Knitting Live is the opportunity to see other knitters, chat with other knitters about knitting, talk about, the yarns you're seeing in the marketplace, commune with fellow yarn lovers on all the minutiae and details of the things that you love about yarn and knitting. And they get you. They will not question how you are spending your time or wonder why you're so obsessed with yarn, because you are too, and so are they. And it's a very uplifting and inspiring experience. You get to see all the sweaters from, what's hot right now on Ravelry walk by, and we all get it. We're all showing off our knitwear to one another, and it's fun. While I was there, there are a number of different places where you can sit and knit, and sometimes when I was taking a break, I would be working on my glittering Snowscape shawl, the Hyber Knit-Along shawl from Stephen West, which is coming along nicely. So there were quite a few of these wandering around Vogue Knitting Live. And so first of all, I was wondering if they were test knitters, because how did they get it done so quickly? Anyway, they were, it's a lot of stitches. Anywho, it was fun to see the shawls parading around as I was working on mine. And in fact, one of the knitters who was wearing a glittering Snowscape shawl was chatting with me about the pattern, and then told me that when I got to the last section, which was the border, that one was going to have me questioning all the decisions I'd made in my life that had led me to the moment of casting on the shawl. So thanks for that warning, and I'm not sure I'm excited to get there, but we'll see. I'll let you know how it goes. Anywho, if you do not have the opportunity to hang out with knitters on a large scale, I recommend you check out Vogue Knitting Live, because it sure is a heck of a lot of fun to be around your fellow knitting and yarn obsessed folks. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, please do hit that like button. It will really help the channel and help people just like you find the video and other content they might enjoy. Of course, what you really want to know about is what came home with me other than the flu. So, first of all, I did get some books. I got the Grand Shetland Adventure Knits by Mary Jane Mucklestone and Gudrun Johnston. And what is really cool is that they signed it. Hopefully you can see it says, "For Melanie, Shetland awaits, an adventure on." So I definitely have an adventure to the Shetland Islands on my list of high priority places to go to. So if I do get there, I will tell you all about it right here. I actually, while I was at Vogue Knitting Live, I was supposed to take a class with Carson Demers on knitting ergonomics. I was actually really looking forward to that. Unfortunately, he had to cancel because he had a family emergency. I hope all is well for Carson and those dear to him. But I did buy his book because Knit Fit had it on sale. That was one of the vendors in the marketplace. And I wasn't originally, this wasn't on my list of things to get but I was sitting next to another knitter and she was watching me knit, and she began telling me how this book really changed how she knits for the better. And it was really important if you knit a lot, several hours a week, that she felt that this really put her on a path to a more sustainable knitting pattern with her hands and her arms so that she could avoid injury. Well, and I do knit quite a bit, so I'm excited to get into this one. I also got this shawl pin from Indigo Lane Jewelry. Hopefully you can see it. I will insert a picture with a better close-up. I do enjoy knitting shawls. I don't always enjoy figuring out how to wear them. And I also find it kind of annoying how sometimes they always slide around. So I was on the lookout to get a nice shawl pin at Vogue Knitting Live, and this one suits me just great. Indigo Lane Jewelry will also be at Knitcentrick this coming May, right before Maryland Sheep and Wool. So if you're in the market for a shawl pen and you're going to be at Maryland Sheep and Wool, you might want to try to go to Knitcentrick. This was a surprise purchase. I got another set of double-pointed needles. Excuse the rattle here. So this company, Prim, I'll show you the box. Prim, I think it's a European manufacturer, I believe. Yes, they're made in Germany. And they had double points and a whole setup for you to test out their needles. And I was like, I need another set of double points like a hole in the head. I mean, I have a lot of double pointed needles. Plus, I've been kind of converted to the flexi flips, the flexible double pointed needles. Anywho, I had some time to kill, so I thought I would play with them. And I was shocked how much I enjoyed knitting small circumferences with these double pointed needles. They are carbon fiber, so they're super, super light, which is nice. And this is really interesting. I don't know if you can see. There is a little teardrop at the end, which prevents the stitches from falling off, but maintains its sharpness in your ability to pick up stitches. So I am really excited to try these double pointed needles on my next pair of socks. I was, these were the last on my list of something I thought I might like, but I was really converted in trying them, and I'll let you know how it goes. The next purchase I will share with you is from Wing and a Prayer Farm. I was actually surprised to see that they were featuring farm yarns among the vendors. Usually at Vogue Knitting Live, it's more traditional yarn manufacturers like Barocco, Katya was there. and so forth. And then there's also a lot of hand dyers. But Wing and a Prayer Farm is a small sheep farm in Vermont. If you don't follow them on Instagram, I highly, highly recommend you do. Tammy, who is the owner and shepherdess there, is so delightful, and her lambs are so cute. So I didn't think I was going to find spinning fiber I wanted at Vogue Knitting Live, but I couldn't help myself. So this lovely, lovely handcrafted, hand-dyed bat was made by Tammy, and I can tell you about it. Sorry about the crinkling. It is this sort of lovely pinky red. It was dyed with madder, amaranthus, and pokeberry, and it is a mixture of Valet black nose, lamb's wool, and cormo. And when Tammy shows her little Valet black nose lambs, oh, they're just so adorable. They are the cutest sheep ever. So of course, when I saw that she had spinning fiber, well, I succumbed. Anyway, Wing and a Prayer Farm. If you love seeing sweet, lammy, sheepy goodness on your Instagram feed, follow it. And yes, I did get some yarn. One of the vendors in the marketplace was, in fact, Camellia Fiber Company. And if you are a fan of Casey at Young Folk Knits, like I am, you will be aware of how often she talks about Camellia Fiber Co. and how much she enjoys their yarn. So I have had it in my mind to knit the LBD t-shirt by Jen Parroccini for this spring. That's definitely on my list to get on my needle soon. And they had the perfect yarn for it. This is Camellia Fiber Co. Flax Fingering. It's 50% alpaca, 25% linen, and 25% silk. 100 grams, 437 yards. This, I believe, is going to have that drapey, silky, yet summery vibe that will be just perfect in a spring t-shirt. And I just really love this sort of aqua color. So those were my purchases. Let's talk VIP swag. I was not prepared for how much VIP swag there was. Part of my strategy for making sure that I wouldn't buy too much was I actually did not bring, extra luggage to take home stuff. So I only had my small carry-on suitcase on the train and my big sling bag that I was using to carry my knitting, and I thought would be a couple purchases. But actually you'll see. So first there was the bag they presented you when you came in to get your name tag and everything. So everything came in this bag. So everything came in this bag in terms of the official VIP swag, and they had told me this was coming, so I was prepared for what was inside. So first, there is the book of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Knitting the Neighborhood. This is the official knitting patterns for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And, you know, all sorts of knitting things. You know, you can have your own Mr. Rogers sweater. But a lot of the focus in the book are patterns for toys, like the neighborhood trolley. I am thinking that I may give this to a friend who is into knitting toys. While I loved Mr. Rogers growing up, I would love to see this book going to someone who will be likely to knit from it. So, but cool thing. There's a La Bien Aimée project bag. This is probably good for like a hat or a small shawl, nice metal zipper, and slots in there. So this is definitely useful and sturdy. A notions pouch. So also has little slots inside. So those two go nicely together. This is really cool, a knitting journal, and the pages inside are either sort of dotted or gridded. So a great journal to document ideas, things with your knitting. And at the front, they have directions for how to do grafting and I-cord in both French and English. So very helpful. And it's very nicely bound. So super psyched to have that. There's also little La Bien Aimée. These are knitting cards, little things to make notes on. La Bien Aimée yellow buttons. I guess yellow is definitely a theme. Stickers. A download code for neons and neutrals. And then last but not least is a skein of Le Bien Aimé yarn. This is a skein, let's see, it is, the colorway is called Happy Accident. And this is Sport Nouveau. So 100-gram skein of La Bien Aimée. I mean, this is so one of my colors. I know that this will get knit with. Very happy to have it. So that was the official VIP swag. Then there is the swag we got from the Gosati cocktail event on Friday night. And this is where I began to think that things got a little ridiculous. So lots of yarn samples. So this is some fingering weight yarn from Acre Fiber Farm. It is 20 yards of Corriedale wool. Feels very rustic. Pretty color though. And Asylum Fibers, little bit of yarn to play with. This is their Shimmer Sock Micro, and it comes with a stitch marker. Movers and Makers yarn from Chicago. That is a nice color. It's called Violet Hour, and there's Came with a coupon code if you wish to purchase more. A Gosati nail file. A Gosati back scratcher. Gosati pack of cards. A We Crochet tape measure, because you can't have enough tape measures. Let's see, what else? Colored pencils. This was for game night, so we played bingo, and that was quite a bit of fun. A Gosati tape measure, because, you know, tape measures are all good. And then this is from Universal Yarn. It is 100% cotton fingering yarn. It's got kind of a gradient to it. So yeah, you know what, this is like perfect. If you do a lot of skein, like if you spin or you dye or you know, just need something to tie yarn with, this kind of cotton yarn. I know that's not what it was meant for, but I am super psyched to have a whole big ball of cotton string to skein with. So anyway, so that Gosati is a company that helps with e-commerce for small craft vendors. That's their whole business model. And so thanks, Gosati, for all the swag. Saturday night, we got more. Yep. All right. So this is what came in the swag bag for the Saturday evening event with La Bien-Aimée. First, a nice 100-gram ball of Rowan sock yarn. That's nice stuff. I'm really happy to have this. Always appreciate a ball of sock yarn. Apologies for the crinkles, but it is a package of yarn tastes from African Expressions. That will be, we were at our dinner table, we were trading different color schemes. Of course, I went for a red one. This squishy, fluffy goodness, this is Universal Yarns Penna. So this is Surrey lace yarn, 25 grams in white. This is really nice. So that's really cool to have to play with. Some samples of eucalyptus. I am psyched to try eucalyptus. I actually mainly block and wash my knits in soak. And I've been wanting to try the eucalyptus, so I'm so glad to have these little test packets to play with. A Barocco little notions pouch with another tape measure. Cool, huh? And let's see, what else? Some Cabrito mohair silk lace from Manos del Uruguay. By the way, it was really cool to see Manos del Uruguay in the marketplace because I asked them about the old Manos del Uruguay that I got from my mom, that 750 tex, I think it was. It's really bulky, and it says that it's dry clean only. And so there was somebody there who was familiar with that yarn. It was like, no, you don't dry clean that yarn. You can wash it. It's okay. So I was really glad to finally find somebody to ask. Let's see what else. This is African Expressions Soul, a 50-gram ball of combination of mohair, silk, merino, and a little bit of nylon. This feels like luxury sock yarn. This is definitely going to be a really nice pair of luxury socks. And I happen to love that color purple. What else do I have in here? Some Addy Skasel. These are unicorn turbo needles. I'm going to take them out of the pack. Apologies for the crinkles. So I don't know if you can see, you might be familiar with these needles, but they have like this ridged pattern on them. Well, you know, I've never knit with something like that. The points aren't that sharp, but these look some kind of similar to I think the turbos, but with a different texture on the needles. So I look forward to playing with these. And then a nice big skein of Pearl Soho's Yonder in this lovely peachy orange color. Again, another one of my favorites. I am so psyched. This is 50% alpaca, 50% Highland wool. Thanks, Pearl Soho. This will be fun to play with. It is squishy, yet you can feel that it has a little bit of drape in it. Nice. So yeah, that's what all came home with me somehow on the train from Vogue Knitting Live. So if you do decide to do the VIP experience, expect a swag. Will I do it again next year? I don't know. You know, it was a lot of fun, but I have got plans to do quite a few things in the next 12 months. So you should stick around, see what comes up. The next couple episodes coming out soon will be about my trip to Brussels and a trip to Paris. So do be sure to subscribe and hit that like button so that you don't miss the very next episode of Yarn Journeys. Thank you so much for spending time with me.